Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
At the back? No?
Maybe they want you up on the stage.
There's a lot of noise in the middle.
Okay, can you hear me now? No. Can you hear me now? No? Can you hear me at the back? Okay, years ago I was in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, and it was in a big composite high school, very hot day, graduation, and John Diefenbaker was the keynote speaker, and the air conditioning went off and the microphone stopped working, and after about 2 minutes Diefenbaker said, "Can you hear me at the back?" And a guy says, "No, I can't." We'll try that again. Can you hear me? Okay, what are we going to do? Use that one up there? Ruth, where are you? Okay.
You good to go.
He says, "Can you hear me at the back?" And guy says, "No, can't." And guy in the second row says, "Great, do you mind if I trade you places?" So I'll watch for any movement in the crowd tonight. Thanks, Ruth. Where is Ruth?
I'm here.
Ruth, thank you very much for organizing this. I haven't given a major speech in Vancouver for a couple of years, so it's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to meet new people, and we're going to talk about some important things tonight. We're going to talk about some of your politicians and about oil tankers going down the coast, and about pipelines going.
Oh, you cut out again.
Pipelines going into Vancouver Harbor and that sort of thing. Do you know the story about Stephen Harper meeting some people in his office for the first time? They're new citizens, and he says, I can't figure it out. People seem to take an instant dislike to me. I don't know why. And somebody said, it saves time. I've been looking at the idea of trying to raise some money to send Stephen Harper down the west coast of Italy in an Italian cruise liner.
Hey, we lost it again.
Okay, why is that?
We have a problem.
Okay, we'll try. Hello?
2 seconds.
Okay. Maybe they don't like my jokes. So I've been looking at the idea of sending Stephen Harper on a cruise down the west coast of Italy in an Italian cruise liner, which I think would be a nice thing to do. Apparently Benito Mussolini used to love Italian cruise boats, and he loved the ambience, he loved the people, he thought the food was wonderful, he thought the accommodation was great. And he said, and then there's none of that silly things about women and children first. That's Benito. I have some latest news. I understand that Italian divers searching the stricken cruise ship have found 2 Scotsmen alive at the bar. And the Scotsmen have told the divers to buzz off. They're on an all-inclusive, still 12 days prepaid tour. Okay. Ruth, where are you? In the back. Okay, Ruth misled me. She asked me to come and speak essentially about the Discovery Walk planned in Jasper National Park. I don't know how many of you have heard about it. Most people have not. But the Brewster Company, which used to be a wonderful, iconic Canadian company, are working out of Banff, working out of Jasper, working out of the Banff-Jasper Highway. They've got the plans to develop this ledge sort of halfway between Banff and Jasper so that people could go up on the ledge and look down into the Sunwapta Valley, and they'd only charge $35 to do that. And people in Banff and Jasper are outraged by this. They're furious about this private company making this offer to overcharge Canadians for a view of the valley that they had previously been able to go and drive halfway up anyway. So the vast majority of people, I'd say 65% in both Banff and Jasper, are opposed to this project. And lo and behold, what do you know, yesterday morning the federal government approved the project. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. It's in contrast to what most of the citizens in Banff and Jasper really were against. And they were against it because it was setting a really bad precedent of letting this private company come into the park and start charging people in the park for the view of this Sunwapta Valley. It's a bad thing, very bad thing, but it's typical of the kind of government that this terrible man is bringing us. He's a really bad Prime Minister, and all of my life, and you know, I've been involved in current affairs in Canada for about 45 years now. In all my life, I've never seen anything close to as bad a Prime Minister as Stephen Harper.
George Bush delegate.
I know Jasper Park really well. I used to every year take my late wife and my 4 daughters up to Jasper, and then we would go 77 miles west to a place called Tejon Cache, Tejon meaning yellowhead, and we'd go down a dirt road and through some tall pine trees and come out on the banks of the Fraser River, right where the salmon come to spawn. And it was a fabulous, marvelous place. Right next to it was a roaring mountain stream, and we'd go there almost every summer and really enjoy ourselves. And on the way I'd stop in Jasper quite a bit and got to know Jasper Park really well. And it was quite an adventure getting there. At the time we first started going up there, if a train came along, you had to pull your car way over to the side as much as possible so the train didn't hit you. That's how narrow the road was. And it was a real adventure. The place was a marvelous old log cabin. And wonderful people used to show up unannounced without any reservation. And they'd come and Jay would make dinner for the people. And her husband was a wonderful host. Her husband was one of the first people to ever go between Banff and Jasper. And quite a marvelous experience. They're maybe the most remarkable couple that I ever got to know. And one of the people who used to come there all the time was a man named Hans Moser. Does anybody here recognize that name? Right, well, Hans Moser was a great, great Canadian. He's the one who started helicopter skiing in the Rockies and in the Selkirks and in much of the other mountain area of Canada. Incredibly handsome man, very athletic, very smart, very experienced. I once watched him go up a chute between 2 mountains, straight up to a lodge, a little ski hut, and then he'd go start off across the glacier, a very dangerous thing to do, on his way towards Lake Louise. His name was Hans Moser, and a couple years ago we were all shocked by this virile, handsome, athletic man. He used to go every morning to bicycle up to Lake Louise and back, and he was found lying on the Banff Jasper Highway. And he had a helmet on, but unfortunately he was severely injured and he died in a hospital a couple of days later at the age of 72, I think it was.